Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the show. Today, I'm recording this on Day of the Dead, November the 1st. Happy November. I hope you had a fun Samhain/Halloween. We are going to do a couple of things today. Now, if you didn't see the Halloween episode, that's okay. But if you did, we are going to continue to build on the themes, some of the themes that came up, mainly diving deep into the 3 themes that came up for the month of November. And we're going to take the first one today. And then the second one, Spirit has said, is for the 1111 Gateway. And the third one is for the lunar eclipse later on this month at the full moon is when we'll touch on that one. So before we get into all of that, I'll also be telling the story that I always tell on November the 1st, Day of the Dead, which is Soul Shift, and we'll get into that as well. But before we bring in all that juicy goodness, let's just get us all in our special sacred space as I wrap us all in love light and light love, inviting in the wisdom keepers and soul friends and spirit guides joining us for this podcast. As always, the overarching guides that are always here with me among a whole cast of many more. But overlighting this episode is always Archangel Michael and Archangel Metatron. So let's just get situated here. Might want to grab yourself a cuppa and join me for what we're going to talk about next. So the first thing we're going to do, let's get myself straight, is we're going to light our Samhain candle. Now, this is a candle we're going to be working with for a while until it burns down, but it's already a very magical candle. We lit it yesterday, and it had a channeled message that I channeled in live on the show, and that was a video. So if you are on YouTube, you can watch that video if you want to actually see the candle. But the message that was channeled in was this. This light shines bright in the dark. The words you will feel in your heart. A witch's broom. Voices from the tomb. Allow them to assist. The time is now. The words will reveal a secret for you in the bell's final peal. I've been hung up a little bit on the bell's final peal and what that actually means. It sounds very, I don't know. It sounds very final for some reason. But then I looked up, like, what is a bell pealing? And it had many different connotations. It just did. You can look it up. Like bells in a tower, bells pealing, P-E-A-L, pealing bells. Had to do with different tones of sounds and so forth. Wedding bells pealing was one of them. But there was a couple of different connotations for bells pealing, and the words will reveal a secret for you in the bell's final peal. I don't know. I guess that's going to come to us sooner or later. And this candle has quite a ways to burn down. It's quite a tall candle. And it's one of those beeswax rolled candles. So we will be working with this for quite some time. And what's interesting about these two is as they burn down, they have different messages that show themselves within the burning wax and so forth. So we will just hold on to that. The next thing I want to do is read Soul Shift, because this is a story about death and rebirth. This is perfect for this time of year. And I'm just inviting into the guides to speak through me with the tones, they're saying, with the tones and the words and the vibration and the frequency and the messages that are for the highest good of everybody that's watching and listening to this show and these episodes and the channel in general, inviting in blessings and magical miracles for all of us as we start kind of a new chapter. Even though I know everyone doesn't follow the Celtic calendar, if you do, and sometimes even if you don't, this is considered like a new year, a new day. And on the wheel of the year, which is much more ancient than the Gregorian calendar, this is one of those times when it's kind of like all systems go in terms of forward motion, divine timing, and even divine intervention, they're saying. So they're speaking through me. But to get us in the mood for the vibe right now, I'm going to first read Soul Shift because there's messages in here for all of us. Even though this is a story I read every year on this day, what comes out of it or what comes through it can be different each time because I'm doing it as a storytelling. I'm not necessarily just reading a story. And these are all, everything I do is channeled stories anyway. So all the books I write and all of that are all channeled via like automatic writing. So the intention is set for them to be healing or to provide messages to you. So all the fiction stories I write have messages, metaphors, healing intentions, blessing intentions for magic and miracles and messages to come through for you of what you most need to know whenever you're hearing them. And all my books, we're out on book number 11, and I'm set to finish book 12 this month, is all those ebooks are free to read. All the links to all of that is in the show notes of this episode. But let's just take a deep breath and get into this healing story, which came to me last year. And I will share with you when we get to that point in the story, like where it came from. But Claudius is a master vampire, and he's the first person that, one of the first people that showed up, I call them people, but one of the first spirit friends that showed up for this story, as was Matthias. And he's coming through as a just turned vampire. Angelina, these are the players in this story. Angelina is his lover, and Melancholy is Claudius's newest turn. If you have been listening to the show for quite some time, and I know many of you do, pop in and listen to most of the episodes or the ones that call out to you. We did this story of 2 or 3 shows back where we brought in Claudius, and this particular story is kind of like the start to that whole Claudius Weston Coven series. But the time frame in this particular little story here is post-Samhain, right after Samhain. Matthias has been turned by an older vamp, Claudius, during a Halloween party that Matthias was invited to by his best friend Clark. Matthias caught the eye of the older vamp, who admired a tight butt and firm abs. I could add him to my coven, Claudius thought, but felt more drawn to a one-night stand and a firm bite goodbye. Matthias and Angelina were engaged to be married, but Matthias had come to this party alone after he and Angelina had a fight about what cereal he should buy for her morning breakfast. There were plenty of other good women around if he couldn't get along with her. Then at this party, across the room, with the sound system blasting "Get Your Love," he saw someone watching him. "See any good movies lately?" Claudius, now behind Matthias, whispered in his ear. Matthias laughed, a little drunk from the party punch spiked with absinthe. Then Claudius in front of him, "I don't normally do this," he lied. Want to go back out for a smoke? Sure, which is smoking, Matthias asked, because he could really go for a long drag of anything rolled right now. Oh, something you've never tried before. It's from my homeland. Claudius and Matthias go out back, and Claudius lights a cigar filled with Transylvanian sage with a little dirt from his coffin thrown in for good measure. In no time at all, Matthias is delirious with lust, but not the mortal kind. It's just too easy this way, Claudius thought, as he gripped Matthias's arm and led him out under the full moon. As Matthias was giving in to the moon's aura, Claudius catches him in a passionate embrace and, teeth to the wind, bites Matthias hard on the neck. What did you do that for? But bloodlust-satiated Claudius was gone. And what seemed like a second had really been 10 minutes, and Matthias's neck was painful from the bite. He sure felt lightheaded now. Too much to drive. Well, this lustful scene had not been so private. Melancholy, Claudius's latest turn, had been watching from the shadows. She appeared in front of Matthias, now knowing Claudius would not return for seconds. Want to go for a ride? She asked Matthias quite innocently. But absinthe-laced, sage-smoked, and newly bitten Matthias had a heart-on for love, or so he thought. Melancholy was looking quite sensual, so he accepted. She led him to her motorcycle, and in minutes they were on the coast highway and out to Seal Beach. It was an easy place to feed if no human were available. They walked out towards the breakers, and under the full moon, Matthias asked her what she wanted with him. Surely this superfine girl was making a mistake. I want a friend, she half-lied. I'm lonely, and you look like a nice guy. You're joking, he laughed, still rubbing his neck. He was starting to feel funny inside. Does this look like a joke? Melancholy stripped down the bare flesh and started towards the water. Swim with me. Then you must feed. What the heck? But the part about feeding and all thoughts of Angelina were lost now as he stripped down and followed her in. Waves crashing, they swam under the moonlight. Melancholy even howled once longingly at the moon. Breathless, they crawled out of the waves onto the sand. Embracing, clawing, and clutching at each other, Melancholy looked him straight in the eye. Do you like me? She asked. Because I really like you. Matthias, blind with passion and a throbbing in his head now, too, answered quickly so he could get on with it. Well, sure, of course, but... Melancholy stopped him with a finger to his lips. You must feed first, and then you can have me. We can be together forever if you want. What do you mean, feed? Matthias was still drunk and lightheaded from the loss of so much blood. That uncaring vamp Claudius, Melancholy thought. He's almost drained this poor kid dry. Melancholy, cutting her skin over her left breast, told him to drink. But I don't know how. Just suck right here. Let me help you, Melancholy said, leading his mouth past her breast and towards the wound. He suckled. Matthias felt that he wanted this blood, but he didn't know how to drink yet, so he spit out the blood he had collected from the younger vamp and dried his lips. I can't do this, he said, feeling somewhat disgusted with himself. You must, or you'll die. I feel like I'm breaking apart inside. What's happening to me? Your soul is shifting to the dark now. You've been bitten by a master vamp. You can never go back now. But I've got a fiancé and a great life. What do you mean I can never go back? Well, there is one way, but it's a 1 in a million chance. You must drink the blood of an angel. I don't know any angels. I guess I'm doomed. Take me home, please. I guess it's all over for me, he said, terrified of what that really meant, And how could you drink an angel's blood anyway? They don't live in the real world. If I must, Melancholy said, sad about losing her new friend. Depositing Mateus at his apartment, she pushed her card into his pocket. Call me immediately if you change your mind. It's the only thing that will save you, but do it before dawn. Mateus, dejected and weak, went upstairs to his apartment. Angelina was waiting for him, worried because it was so late. What happened to you? She sees the bite mark and the lost look, wet clothes, and a woman's perfume. I'm going to die if I don't drink either the blood of an angel or a vamp, but I'd rather have the angel. Mateus falls into Angelina's arms, weak and afraid. Oh, my darling, what has happened to you? Angelina opens her shirt, exposing bare breasts. She cuts her skin with her fingernail and moves his blue lips to the wound. Drink, my love. Drink. He sips as a heavenly harp plays in the background, and Angelina smiles. I don't know why I love that story so much. I don't know why. Anyway, so of course he ended up getting to drink the blood of an angel, unbeknownst to him that his true love was really an angel. So Mateus, the story actually came from, I think it was Goodreads, my Goodreads, which I don't pay attention to very much, but my Goodreads page had a tell a 2-sentence horror story. And so I'm like, oh, I'll just channel in 2 sentences. And it was Mateus felt that he wanted this blood, but he didn't know how to drink yet. So he spit out the blood he had collected from the younger vamp and dried his lips. And that was where this whole story actually originated from, was a 2-sentence horror story that I put out on my Goodreads. And now this has become an annual TLC for the Soul favorite that we read every day. I wouldn't read it every day, but we read every year on Day of the Dead. So much about death and rebirth, many metaphors that are very fitting for this time. The Scorpio season of diving deep into the darker side of things. Like I said yesterday, if you listened yesterday, I talked about dark elementals coming forth at this time. Not like dark energy, but like night fairies and goblins and spirits that maybe you wouldn't typically think you would want to work with. Like maybe you might be like, oh, you know, you're standing in the light and you see like from behind a tree in the dark wood, like, you know, a goblin looking at you, or, you know, some little dark fairy who wants to play or whatever. And there's no ill intention involved. It's kind of like, come meet us in the dark and see what, you know, gifts we have for you, like what we can teach you about your own shadow and your own dark side. So that's kind of this story as well. And then Melancholy kind of goes off, and we don't know where she goes. And when we did the very first story after that with Claudius, he's been looking for Melancholy, and he kind of doesn't know where to find her. So he's another one that doesn't know, even though he's a darker. So he is a darker spirit, I guess, that, you know, I've chosen to work with. And I have quite a few. Actually, we may bring some into these episodes coming up for this month that are really fun. We have a couple of vamps. We've worked with the mist vamp before, but we have an earthen vamp who's a little bit more sultry and kind of likes to play in the shadows as well, too. So that we can kind of dispel fears about working with energies that play in the shadows but are not malevolent energies. Obviously, everything we do here on the show is only working with beings of the highest love and light. So we shouldn't be afraid to work with our shadow. So where we're going to go next, I hope you enjoyed Soul Shift. What we're going to do next is we are going to jump into our new moon messages. And so I'm going to grab, we got, and it's okay if you didn't see this yesterday, it's fine. I'm going to recap slightly. the November themes and the one that we're going to touch on today and just drive out a little bit more. So we had very powerful, we have very, very powerful energies coming in. Powerful energies are always coming in, but for November, very deep and very mysterious things coming up for this month. And the spirit guides that I'll be working with on the show, and if you come back during this month, you'll see we're working with them, is Isis and Osiris, the Egyptian goddess Isis, and a guide that I've never worked with before, the goddess Iris, who is the rainbow messenger, and that she seems to be coming in a little bit more closer towards the end of the month, and Isis and Osiris kind of working with us through this new moon and the 1111 gateway. But the 3 November themes were from Isis, stay true and be in your power, which is what we're going to work on now for the new moon. The one that we'll be working with on the 1111 is overcoming negative energy with feminine power. And then the one we're working on for the lunar eclipse is miracle of Isis, miraculous healing, lifting a load that is too heavy for you to heal on your own, surrendering to the divine. And it was so interesting. I will share just a personal story. I'm going to grab the card that came out with this yesterday too, so we can dive into that a little bit more. But last night, it was Samhain, Halloween Eve, and I was sitting down with my son, and I'm like, he's a little tiny bit older now to go trick-or-treating. He's 14. And we usually would go out every Halloween. So he's like, let's just watch movies, Mom. And I said, well, you pick the movie this time. And he likes much the same stuff. He's like the perfect movie-going partner. He likes much the same things that I do. And he chose, he likes a lot of classic stuff. So he chose the original movie, The Mummy, with Boris Karloff. And let me tell you, oh my God. So he chose it. And we're really he's very divine masculine, even though he hasn't completely opened up to all of that yet, but it's slowly coming online. I don't remember much about that movie. I know I've seen it before, but I saw it now more with like my master eyes of where I'm at in my own spiritual growth. And oh my God, if you guys haven't seen that movie. So first of all, we brought in Isis yesterday. I did the video and everything earlier in the day for the Halloween special. And then he happens to choose The Mummy. And I'm telling you, this movie was like, maybe some of you are familiar with it, maybe you're not. But it was all about this high priest I'm getting chills, in ancient Egypt at the Temple Karnak, who decides that he wants to have more, power, and he desecrates Thoth's tomb and pulls out the Elder Scrolls, like the Emerald Tablets or whatever, and he wants all those secrets and mysteries for himself. And he learns, the power of raising the dead and all these like really inner mysteries that probably, he wasn't really technically really ready for. And he also has this divine counterpart, and they pledge their love. In ancient Egypt, they pledge their love to each other. They're never going to be apart or whatever. And he acts kind of like, her protector, her guide, and he does a lot of things kind of quote unquote, for her love that he probably shouldn't have done. And he racks up a whole lot of like bad karma. And so in the time that we step into the movie, he's resurrected from the dead. There's like all these Egyptian curses around everything because when they actually, like when they found he stole the Emerald Tablets or the scrolls from Thoth, they embalmed him and mummified him when he was still alive. And they put all these curses on his tomb and all that. So when these Egyptian archaeologists or whatever when they raise his tomb and they bring him out, he's already cursed and all that, and he comes alive, and his main intent is to find this divine counterpart again, and her soul is now in the body of some girl or whatever. And And what happens is he wants to I don't exactly get what he was trying to do in the movie. He was trying to kill her, even though he understood that her soul was in this girl's body, that the soul of the divine counterpart was in this girl's body. He was trying to do some weird Egyptian rite at the end that he really didn't understand where he was going with it. But the most powerful part of the movie is the girl realizes that she is the reincarnation of this divine counterpart, this Egyptian high priestess. And getting so many chills. And so this all ties into November. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling this story. But she realizes she's this Egyptian high priestess. She realizes that this guy is her divine counterpart, but she also realizes he is not acting for the highest and best good of anyone in this scenario. And she doesn't want have anything to do with his plan of bringing them back together. And so she beseeches, the costumes are amazing, but there's this huge statue of Isis, and she beseeches Isis. She's like, I'm a daughter of Isis. I'm an initiate of Isis. Mother Isis, bring back to me all the ancient spells, all the incantations, things I've forgotten, all the mysteries, so that I can vanquish this evil. It was so amazing. And so Isis does, Isis bestows this, here it is, miracle of Isis, miraculous healing of the goddess. That is one of our themes for this month. Isis spirit bestows upon the girl this, I don't know, whatever it was, some incantation or something that she used, and it ended up freezing the guy, and he went back into mummified state, and I guess his soul left that, disincarnate body or whatever it was. But it was so good. It was so amazing. And I'm sure I've seen that movie many times, and I just never, but when she was kneeling down and oh, Isis, I'm a daughter of Isis, and it was just so powerful. I was just and it's so interesting that my son picked that movie, and it played into these November themes so perfectly. So such a serendipitous moment to watch that movie. So very, very deep themes coming up. I think tapping in more to maybe certain past lifetimes that you kind of know you had, but you haven't really fully explored them. So this is whoever's listening. This is divine masculine, divine feminine, whatever your gender is. I'm not just talking about our listeners and our soul family on the channel who are just women who are daughters of Isis. I mean, you could be a man right now and you could have been a daughter of Isis, back then, who knows? But these themes coming up of relationships that probably have some bad karmic past going on in past lives, coming up to be healed now. So much, so deep, so much spiritual teachings and things I think that you're going to open up to in this month of November. So the first thing we're going to dive into for this new moon coming up on the 4th is the topic of stay true and be in your power. And it came from Isis and Osiris. It's interesting that it was the two of them together, so they are divine counterparts. Isis kind of, raised Osiris from the underworld in that whole, tale or story, or however you want to look at it. And when we drew cards to kind of further clarify each of these themes, the card that I drew, and I understand if you guys are just listening to this, so you can't see it, although in the thumbnail I will put a picture of the card. But the card that we drew for that was the card Wind from my deck Bubble. And the card is, Quinn believed she could fly. At night, she took her old broom and practiced her liftoffs. If that old witch showed up again, Quinn would take her up on those flying lessons. And then Morgan knew the young girl had been watching her, and Quinn would make a great apprentice. Morgan could teach her all about her craft, and Quinn could use the wind to fly into town and pick up those blueberry scones she loved so much. So we talked about, in relation to the new moon, what does this mean? This one card alone could probably be the whole episode. Winds of change coming in. So a lot of us listening, myself included, have been hearing about divine timing for certain things for quite some time now. You may have been trying to, so I'm just asking Spirit to speak through me even more now. You may have been trying to manifest things for quite some time. It could have been months, it could be a year, it could be many years that you have been trying to work with certain themes of your own spiritual growth, bringing things into manifestation in the physical realm that seemed like maybe you were just getting to the point where you're thinking, this is just pointless. Why do we even bother anymore? Maybe I'm on the wrong track. Maybe this is just not going to happen for me. And Spirit is saying you have been thoroughly tested. You have been the apprentice that is being talked about in this card. You believed all along that I'm going to cry. You believed all along you could fly. Quinn believed she could fly. She's been practicing at night. She took her old broom and practiced her liftoffs. And you have been learning all about your craft. You have been the apprentice of Morgan. You've been the daughter of Isis. You or whoever you work with, it doesn't matter. You've been working with angels. You've been working with Source directly. You've been working with gods and goddesses, whatever it is. You've been practicing your craft for quite some time now, and it's time to fly. It's time to really fly and use the wind, this winds of change that are coming in with this November new moon to help you lift off and take off. You've been the apprentice. And now it's kind of time for you to be the leader. So it's kind of like a handoff. Yes, and I drew another card for that earlier today. Let me just share this card. This card is from a deck that is not my deck. And it's weird because the name of the card and the look on the card don't really... The card is called Passing Cloud, and it's from a deck called Working with the Four Elements by Colin Hall. And it's like a German deck, I believe. But it's the meaning of the card more so than the card itself. Passing Cloud. So it's not like passing, not like kind of like this will pass, but kind of like something being passed on. The card representing the element air, two people coming together, the student and the teacher. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. As you look at the card, you can see they are communicating with their minds. And it's like two clouds, like with faces. One's a masculine face, one's a feminine face, and they're kind of staring at each other. The element air is the symbol for the mind. You can see between the two people is another teacher ready to take over when the student progresses. The bird on the left is a stork, the symbol for new beginnings, our new moon. The lotus flower over the head is open to allow the communication to take place. And then it says, the suggestion says, look into the clouds and let your mind wander. See what shapes you see in the clouds because air spirits are always around. And the affirmation is, I and the teacher are becoming one. So I'm going to pull that into this reading. And then they're showing me two more things. Like everything I drew today is everything I drew personally is kind of coming on this reading. So the other thing they're having me grab a hold of is this homemade deck that I'm working on. It's called Happenstance Oracle. It's just a hand-drawn deck. But one of the cards is Release Control. And then I have a bottle cap that I drew this morning. And inside the bottle cap, it says, quietly work and let success speak up. So the leadership role is shifting in a sense, kind of like your guides are saying, not that you're going to obviously never not start working with them, but it's kind of like you've practiced so much your craft. You've learned so much from your guides, and you've had so many great teachers in the physical realm, spiritual teachers, people you've been watching, people you've been working with directly, indirectly. You've learned so much that now it's time for you to take the lead, for you to become Morgan, the witch who could teach people all about her craft in this case, and for you to take on the Quinns of the world, the Quinns that believe they could fly but need to practice their liftoffs, the Quinns who are kind of the apprentice the archetype of the apprentice now and are looking for a spiritual teacher. And for you to be the one that shows your craft, whatever that is, whatever that might be, to others. So the training wheels have come off the tricycle, in a sense, or, you can take this as slowly or as quickly as you want to. But if you've been waiting around for divine timing for as long as some of us have on this journey, then some of you just may want to wholeheartedly take those training wheels off and just throw them into the violet fire, thank them for their service, and just say, let's just get on with this. I'm ready to even ride the unicycle at this point, and let's just get on with moving forward. And thank all the experiences that have come over the months or the years that have shaped you and molded you and brought you to where you are at now, which is this level of success and personal power that is allowing you to step forward in a whole new light. And you may be saying to yourself, because I kind of said that too, well, I've been doing some of this stuff already. And Spirit is like, well, yes, you have. You've been practicing. You've been getting ready to be ready. So that's big. Abraham Hicks, Esther and Abraham Hicks, saying get ready to be ready. You're getting ready to be ready. So all the practice you've done, all the, I speak for myself too, all the hundreds of episodes of this podcast, all the books that I've published, all the card decks that I've made, all the clients that I've worked with, it's just stepping up to a whole new level now. And you've worked so much on your personal power and your energy field, and you've learned so many lessons. You've cleared so much shadow over that practice period, however long it's been for you. And now, because they're saying some it's been longer than others. And now you're just ready to step forward in a whole brand new capacity, more light-filled, more loving, more energetic, more energy in your aura. All of these portals that you've gone through, and new moons and full moons have not been for naught. Every portal you've stepped through, every 555 gateway, every 444, every 1111, every 666, every portal door you've stepped through, wholeheartedly stepping through and saying, show me what I need to know from this. All the energies that have come down through all those portals, all those new moons, all those eclipses since you've been with your training wheels on have not been for naught. They have been here to shape you and mold you and help you as you were Quinn, the apprentice. All the Morgans showed up. All the teachers showed up to help you. Guides, named and unnamed, seen and unseen, guardian angels, all stepped up to help you to where you are now, sitting finally outside of the void space, because for the past 2 or 3 weeks we've been in a void space. Finally outside of the void space, sitting here poised, ready to go, ready to fly on your own celebratory broomstick. It's like the baton is being passed, and you're getting a pat on the back from everybody that you've been working with, saying, it's your turn now. Still fully supported. Nobody's going anywhere. No guides are going anywhere. But the role that they play in the work that you do is changing now. So whereas you may have felt like with the training wheels on, you needed a lot of support. You may have, watched a lot of card readers on YouTube. You may have drawn your own cards. You may have done a lot of soul searching. You may have been asking source spirit guides for messages. A lot. You may have been doing it quite frequently. You may have drawn your own cards for yourself 4 or 5 times a day. What do I need to know now? What do I need to know now? And what do I need to know now? Uncertain about the future and what was going to come, and kind of worried about things that really were outside of your control to begin with anyway. And you learned over time to release those things, everything you couldn't control, till you finally got down to the base knowledge that all you can really control is yourself, your own actions, keeping your energy field clear, bright, keeping yourself shielded, paying a special attention to your self-care and your own physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, taking care of your priorities, be that your home, your family, your job, your bills, whatever it is you had to pay, taking care of those things, focused with a primary focus on achieving what you were sent here in this lifetime to achieve. All the while, your soul's been pushing you, your higher self's been pushing you towards that, pushing you there, slowly, gently nudging you there, not allowing you to go faster than you needed to go, even though you felt like you wanted to go really fast, even though you felt like, I know all this stuff and I'm ready for this X, fill in the blank, Mad Libs or whatever. Like, I'm ready for this, whatever it is. I'm ready now. Why isn't this happening sooner? Why is this not coming to fruition? All the while you thought you knew, which has always been one of my biggest lessons is I think I know, and my guides are like, you think you know, but you don't really know. So being humbled in a way by thinking that you really had all the answers. Now, that's not to say that your intuition isn't guiding you. Like, your intuition is guiding you just like your guides are guiding you. Always ever closer to the things that you want, the manifestations that you need to complete your soul's journey in this lifetime, but never faster than they needed to come because of the learning curve that it took for you to get to where you're at now. The lessons are different for each one of you. But the mastery that you feel within you now, if that had happened, if the green light had happened maybe 6 months ago, some of you even, if it had happened like 3 months ago, you wouldn't have been where you're at now, leveled up to a place where you've got, think of like they're showing me like an arcade game or like a video, whatever you want to call it, like a video game or whatever, where you have like your life and then you have like, they give you like those extra lives or whatever, or like the health meter or whatever it is. You've leveled up in all areas, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to where you have your own chi, your own life power, and you have extra in reserve in all these areas, your knowledge, your strength, your power, your wisdom, your love, your protection. All of that has been ramped up and leveled up through all of these things, these portals, your own work on yourself, your guides working on you, to get you to this point that you're at now, which is finally the green light means go, whatever that means to you. I did hear it put really in a nice way earlier by Unicorn Light Tarot, Rebecca, that I've listened to her channel a little bit. Spirit just guides me to listen to whatever I need to hear, when I need to hear it. But she said, you're on the path, and you're so much so on your path that you don't even realize you're on your path. You keep thinking like, is this my path? You keep wondering, is this my path? And you're so on it. It was just divine timing all this freaking time. And where was I going with this? You just need to now pick something and move forward. That's where I was going with it. Pick something and move forward. Move forward with it, not half-heartedly, with both feet all in, and with the intention that if there's something better for you, something more aligned to you, that Spirit will direct you to where that something is. But that where you're at now is the path. You just need to keep going and not shilly. There's another Samhain kind of, not shilly-shally, which was the OG Pet Cemetery, where the wife is like, come on, Lewis, don't shilly-shally. Tell him about, I don't know what it is, the cat or something, was something they were talking about, but that's like an Irish reference coming in. I have a lot of Celtic and Irish references coming in, but don't shilly-shally. So don't go back and forth with it. Either you're all in or you're not, because if you're not all in, then maybe you should reconsider what you're doing, like the course of action you're taking. Maybe if your heart's not all in it. I'm here to say that the green light is on now. The green light is go. And so maybe if your heart wasn't in it recently, it's because you weren't seeing results that you were expecting to see. Because remember we said you've been expecting maybe for months or years, like, all this time I've been doing this something and I've been expecting like better results and I hadn't been seeing any. And Spirit's saying, okay, all this time it was divine timing. And you may say like, well, why the heck didn't you just tell me? Because I did personally say that, like, why the heck didn't you just tell me like a year or two ago that it was all divine timing and that all I had to do was wait for November 2021 to come around. And then you were going to tell me there was a green light. And Spirit's really loved them. Spirit's response to that was, well, then would you have done anything all that time? Wouldn't you have just sat there and kind of waited until November 2021 to get started? And it's like, yeah, I probably would have. So I was like, I would have thought all that work would have been in vain. And it's like, no, you got a shit ton of practice in that time. And for me, it's been much longer than several years. I would say it's been since 2015. Been waiting for that divine timing. So 6 years now. And Spirit saying the training wheels they just keep saying the training wheels are off and it's go time. So let me see how long we've been chatting with you here. I don't want that. Okay, so 46 minutes. So for the new moon, I'm really excited for all of you, for myself included. We're all one big family here on the channel. And the next time we'll be talking at you, I'm not sure what we'll be doing next, but we'll definitely still be pondering this little channeled messages from this candle. This light shines bright in the dark. The words you will feel in your heart. A witch's broom, voices from the tomb. Allow them to assist. It kind of is falling into place. Allow them. So the light shines bright in the dark. The words you will feel in your heart. So maybe you're feeling what I say in your heart and you're like, yes, finally, it's happening. A witch's broom. We just talked about the witch's broom. Kind of like the witch's broom would be like the baton. So the witch's broom, the baton is being handed over to you. Your guides are saying, you take the baton now. You're the leadership role now. You carry on. The voices from the tomb, our guides, our ancestors, all coming through. Allow them to assist. They're going to show you. They're going to help keep you motivated, but they can't do the work for you, right? So you've got to, this is a Taurus new moon coming in. You've got to kind of at a high level know where you're going. And I did see some comments from people on this reading that I was watching from Unicorn Light Tarot, where somebody was like, well, that makes total sense, but I don't know how to put the puzzle together. So if you still don't know what to do next, like, you need to ask your guides to help you get firmly grounded and to help you bring somebody in, a guide or somebody in the physical, to help you put a practical plan together. Because it has to be a balance. This kind of work now has to be a balance of following your heart and actually doing something in the 3D to make that something happen. Okay, it can't just all be heartfelt intentions. There has to actually be movement forward. And your guides at some point are waiting for you to move before they can support you on what you're moving on. They can't support you on what you need to do if you're not doing anything. It's kind of like this very precise middle ground of, okay, you know what you want to do in your heart. Like, your heart's longing is, I don't know what it is. It's different for everybody. You want to be a tarot reader on YouTube. You want to have your own channel. You want to help hungry people. You want to, I don't know what it is. It's different for everybody. You want to find your divine counterpart. It's all there, but you have to do something until you're supported by your team. So your team can support you right now. Your guides can support you by giving you the motivation and giving you like the guidance to go. It's me. They're speaking through me, telling me it's time for you to go. But now you figure out like, well, what is it that I really want to do? Okay, well, I know I want to do X. Okay, so I'll give myself an example. I know I want to finish this book that I'm almost done with, and I know I have a card deck I want to finish because I still love doing all those things. Like, no, that's changed in all these years. I want to help. I want to work with clients. I want to do, okay, well, what's the practical step to those things? Well, I want to finish this book and publish it. Okay, well, then I need to like finish the darn book. I need to channel in the final chapters, edit it, and put it out there. I want to finish the card deck. Okay, well, I need to do the artwork and get the card deck set up on my game, whatever that is, wherever I have my Game Crafter website, where I have all my decks. I want to work with clients. Okay, well, I need to put myself out more, that I'm available to work with clients, so that potential clients know that I'm available to work with them. I mean, those are the practical steps. And once I do that, then my guides are like, okay, then we're going to help you. We're going to help you like find the time to sit down and finish writing that book, get you motivated, get you, help you to stop procrastinating a little bit, give you gentle nudges to move forward, get you excited about what's to come, and not looking so far into the future about some of these things. So this is going a little bit longer, but it's like they're saying people need to hear this. So I think another place we get caught up is, okay, we've already told you, Spirit speaking to me, we've already told you you're on the right path. You're so ingrained in the path, you don't even realize you're on it. We're already telling you now that you've trained for this. The training wheels are off and it's time to go. We've already told you that, yes, you had some mental anguish and emotional upset over the past days, months, and years, because you didn't really feel like anything was going anywhere. And we're telling you that's because the timing wasn't right. And we're telling you that you're fully supported. But don't get too far ahead of yourself now. Don't talk yourself out of doing what you're doing because the results aren't coming in as fast as you want them to come in. The results are going to come in from whatever you're working on in a way that is best for your energy. A way that supports you and still staying balanced with all the things that you've worked. Remember, we said you work to level up, you work to have energy even in reserves. And that includes karmic energy as well, karmic balance. A lot of you have been doing a lot of service work, I know some of you tell me like, I've already done a lot of work for free. And it's like, yeah, that's been your service work all this time to build up good karma. You've got a huge good karma bank now. And it's time for you to reap the rewards of all of that service work that you've done. So don't look back in vain at all the times that you helped somebody for free, or you posted like, videos and, you didn't see what you were expecting to see from that, or, you helped somebody out and you were expecting something from them. Like, do all this without expectation. Just do whatever it is that you need to do because you love to do it, no matter what it is. And because this is a Taurus moon, a lot of it does feel very 3D, physical based, home, career, family, that area of things. So do these things because you love doing them, and don't look too far down the path. Don't get ahead of yourself and be like, well, I already expected to have like 1 million followers, but I only have 1,000. Let Spirit help you with some baselines. So some of you are looking to monetize your work. Let Spirit help you with like, okay, don't get too far ahead of yourself by like paying $1,000 to build a website when you have 100 followers. Let Spirit tell you like, okay, maybe you need to wait till you have, I don't know, it's going to be different for everybody. Maybe you need to wait till you have 1,000 followers, and then you can have somebody help you build a little tiny website, or just help you put your offerings out there in some way that's cost effective and practical, because Taurus is also about practicality. So just baby steps, but the time is now. It's time to get going. You're going to start to see blocks and obstacles that you thought they were blocks and obstacles, and they were in a sense, but they were there to keep you safe, because it wasn't time yet for you to be in the space that you're in now. So without repeating ourselves anymore, the Spirit's saying we're gonna stop right here, and we are going to that is so much said. You may have to even listen to this more than once. It felt very motivational to me. I'll have to go back and listen to it several times. And basically they're just saying the training wheels are off and it's time to get going now, and let your guides help you get started and get moving and pull in some fresh momentum. So that is all I wanted to share with you for this time. The next time we see you, I don't know what we'll be doing, but it will be a happy, jolly, good, fun time. So thank you so much for listening to me. We'll see you again soon. Take care.